Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stars and Stripes Throwback Series. Tonight, the drivers head to that of South Florida, going to Miami for that of Homestead under the lights, where drivers have been practicing, trying to perfect this car at this track. As they're underway with practice, it has certainly been a good one as the drivers are ready for that of the South Beach 200 here this evening. Again, welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. And Zach, here at Homestead, the drivers seem pretty excited on the fact that we're coming to this course.
Not only them, Sam, we're excited. I also am too. Is the Homestead-Miami Speedway, one of the best tracks out there in the iRacing. The whole scheme of the game here is this place. It just lends opportunities to run all over the surface. There's multiple grooves. And these drivers are going to be fighting for the grip when it comes to this ARCA car. As you can see, a few of them already fighting with it here in practice. So I'm excited to get the green flag dropped here and see who can go out here and conquer one of the toughest mile and a halves out there.
It's been a very tough track for some, as you've seen. Exit of turn 4 that our camera is pointing towards as we're sitting at turn 2. Just getting the great shots of the drivers trying to run the outside lane, which it seems to be the preferred spot to be, but this is going to be progressive banking here at Homestead, meaning drivers can run any and other lane they want, and it's going to be awesome to see what type of racing action we're going to have once we get the green flag racing, as we still have 25 seconds left in practice. But Zach, we're seeing drivers. That outside wall seems to be the friend and foe for most of the drivers here tonight.
That it has been. As you see there, Joshua Robinson, he went for a ride, and it's going to be that factor of all night long of that wall being somewhat of a dangerous spot on the racetrack, just due to how close in proximity you will get to that wall. So what drivers are doing there more than anything is you have what we call side force, which is the air that actually pushes on the right side of these cars, that when you get sideways, it'll put that air on the side of the car. It'll actually help catch that car and bring it back straight so it doesn't step out too much for you. But as you get closer to that wall, it actually builds a little bit of an air cushion there between you and the wall. And it actually feels like you get more downforce and more grip built up there. So you're going to see some drivers looking to use that air cushion against that wall. I know a lot of people have seen it happen in the real life NASCAR Cup Series, Kyle Larson it. So if you've seen that for a fact, that's how you get up to that wall and get that extra grip up there right against it. So let's see how it works out. I think here in qualifying, you might see the bottom be the fastest way, but we'll get to watch here as the first car is rolling off there to the 15 of Christopher Wade.
Christopher Wade found himself in a victory lane at the start of this season at Daytona, the other Florida track here that the drivers are running this season. Hoping to find some more Florida magic for the 15 as Christopher Wade is getting himself rolling here, Zach. We've certainly got a lot of drivers to watch out for. Scott Rickard, he has been on an absolute tear, winning the last 3 races, trying to go for race number 4 of the season potentially here tonight. He has the most pulls in the whole entire history of that of the Stars and Stripes series. He's hoping to get his 14th pole for himself, but other drivers here, Zach, they certainly are hoping for some magic.
That they are, Sam. This place has got available opportunities around it, all around this mile and a half racetrack. So we'll see who can find the grip level here tonight. I believe last time we were here, we had Kyle Bowling winning that Next Gen Cup Series car. So see if he can transfer some of those skills over. And then I believe we had Kyle McCoy be a 3-time winner here. And then we had Derek Offerman win the first ever race here in the ARCA car. So we'll see if the 20 of Derek Offerman can get something going here tonight, as he's been in the past the winner here. But I think it's open game for anybody here for sure. I mean, we haven't seen Scott Rickard win a race at this racetrack yet. So it's going to be fun to see if he can go out there and try to put 4 in a row, because that's a feat you don't see too many times. I've seen the 3 in a row feat happen, but when you have 4, it is just something very unheard of.
Certainly is, as drivers are finishing up their second lap. Seems to be the fastest lap of them all. A little bit of a wiggle by the 15 here. Christopher Wade at turn 2, but he is staying low, trying to get down to that white line right close to the seam. Looks to be a slight wiggle as he drifts back up to the outside wall. Currently, it's Kyle McCoy top of the board, but Christopher Wade hopes to best his time, but he'll only be able to move up to 7th. Scott Rickard gets that a 2nd, as Will Bustler moving up to 3rd place. As wait to see if there's going to be another cluster of drivers trying to make the second half of qualifying a little bit more exciting to watch out for. But Kyle McCoy, Zach, the 2-time winner at this track, currently on the pole.
Not surprised one bit of that at all because he is so good here. This has been a track that it's been his bread and butter, as you could say. So it's been fun to see how he can work through that and get the grip levels here tonight in this ARCA car. So going to be really, really a good night here under the lights in South Florida. But here we see the 24 Kyle Bolin there. He just finished his lap. He's a pass winner from last season here. He's 9th on the board. But here's Ross Tatum in the 21. See if he can find some speed. I know Ross has been working his way up in this car. We'll see if tonight maybe could be his breakthrough chance. I know at the Fulson series, he was very fast here in an Xfinity car. So I'm interested to see if he can kind of carry some of that over into this style car.
Yeah, and Ross Tatum last season really was trying to find himself a little bit more consistency. He certainly was finding some great runs in the beginning portions and heading into the playoffs. But this 21, this season go around, he has found himself being around that top 10 area, almost cracking the top 5 at times. I think back to Michigan, almost was able to go for a top 5 finish there where he's caught up in a late wreck out of turn 2. But this 21 certainly is a driver that we know has the ability to perform well. He's been trying to figure out the tire compound, it really seems like, for this car, as in previous machines, he's been very good at saving the tires. But here for this race, saving might not be the key to watch out for it from what I'm seeing, but it could change up as we go into the night as the 21 trying to stay above that first seam. He's running more of that middle line groove here, Zach, as the 21 continues to drift up the rear end, not looking happy at the exit of 4.
And he found a pickup here on this lap, and he will pick up a decent bit of speed. That's actually going to shove him up to 7th, so I think Ross will be pretty happy with that at the moment. But, you know, you brought up the point about the seams there. You can see 2 defined seams here on this racetrack. There, as Ross crosses over the bottom one, you also got one in the upper groove there also from that middle lane. Those seams are where the progressive banking starts. Each one of those spots of the track, it progressively gets more and more banked as you go up to the wall from the bottom of the white line. And those seams right there can play an interesting factor of how your car can handle. So we'll see who utilizes them the best and who is, you know, making mistakes on them, because they can easily cause you to get loose. And you can see a little bit of a different approach here from Joshua Robinson. We'll see what his second lap produces here, but I think he's going to run out of time.
Qualifying is done, and just that, a 400 feet away was that 10 machine. Not going to be able to get that second time in. Joshua Robinson's going to have to climb through the field, which qualifying has been a struggle for that 10 machine. Well, qualifying's done, practice is done. It is time for us to get ourselves prepared for that of 133 laps here at that of the South Beach, 200 here at Homestead-Miami. Taking the top award, going to be that of Kyle McCoy in the 28. Then it's going to be Scott Rickard in that 32 machine in second. Will Bustler in third. Fourth goes the 5 of Andrew Hess, who's been very consistent with this machine. It's been impressive to watch how he's been up front. Kevin O'Keefe's going to be in that of 5th, but that of Brian Scalise going to be in 6th. 7th goes to Ross Tatum. Derek Offerman, who's found himself success here at Miami before, going to be in 8th. Jason Gratton's going to be in 9th. And Zachary Nelson finishing out your top 10.
The 11th position is going to be the 31 of Thomas Ogle, with last season's winner here at Homestead, Kyle Bowling, in 12th. 13th is going to be the 18 of Andrew Medlin, with Timmy McNally in the 12, starting in 14th. 15th is going to be Dylan Grimm, with Nate Lynch in 16th in the one machine. 17th is going to go to Christopher Wade. 18th is going to be the 40 of Aaron Hill. And our last 2 cars are the top 20, Brian Chu in 19th and Jonathan Woods in 20th.
Then 21st position is going to be the 9 of Zach Kreitz, with Joshua Robinson not able to boost his way up with his second time, going to be in 22nd place for the 10. Mike Lynch in 23rd. Patrick Hastings going to be in that 24th position. That of Greg Kovacic going to be in 25th. 26th is going to be that Diego Valle, which I'm surprised to see 77 not putting in a qualifying time, as well as the 22 of Brian Lynch, and also going to be seeing that of the 19 of Richard Hurst, who's going to be back there in 28th. 28 drivers expected here tonight. Zach and this field certainly are prepared for 133 laps. We were looking at kind of the trends coming into this race. In Homestead, in other leagues, you can expect maybe 3 to 8 cautions just because of the progressive banking and drivers being side by side. But Zach, when we looked at the numbers, it's kind of shocking on what those cautions were looking like coming into tonight.
That it was, Sam. It was very, very shocking to see that they really don't produce many cautions here. You know, it's usually been right in about 1 caution per race for these guys. I know the trucks went a little bit different for them, so that is a different machine. You know, you stay more stacked up in the truck. These ARCA cars, I expect them to spread out just a little bit more than what we've seen in the past here. So I'm kind of, I would not put it out of the realms of a, zero caution race here.
And this field has been able to do that before, of having, just a handful of cautions or less in these long mile-and-a-half races. We'll see if they can bring a little bit of that consistency here tonight, as it's going to be Vatica McCoy leading the way up front. Scott Rickard's going to be in second. That front row, drivers that know how to get themselves into victory lane. For that, Scott Rickard, he is trying his best to catch up to Kyle McCoy in the wins columns list. He is just one win away from tying that 28 machine in the history books. But for that of Kyle McCoy, he has won this race twice in the last 5 seasons. He's hoping to get his 3rd win here in season 6, as we're green for that of the South Beach 200 down in turn number 1.
Yeah, Kyle McCoy here. Such a good start for that 28 and such a good track for him also. So we'll get to see if that can kind of continue over. But he's got the hottest driver in the series right behind him here as they come off the turn 2. But it's side by side. Andrew Hess trying to hold the position there to the 6 of Will Bustler, while the 23 of Kevin O'Keefe maybe trying to make a move on the 6.
Up to already half a second away from that of 3rd place. So everyone else stacking up behind Andrew Hess side by side. Is everyone going to be from that of 6th on back? But across the line, lap number 1 goes the 28 of Kyle McCoy. As we're seeing that of Kevin O'Keefe on the inside, trying to figure out how to get by Will Bustler in the 6th machine. And as well, it's about progressive banking here, Zach. It's allowing these drivers running 3 to 2 different lanes.
And it is, Sam. These lanes are open for each of these drivers to try to find the grip level that they want, so you can get out of that dirty wake from behind the car in front of you and find the downforce on the nose. You see Derek Hoffman, the first one, really to take it all the way up to the wall there in 3 and 4. So riding on board with Thomas Ogun was 31. And looking back to Texas, we had a lot of drivers have almost that come and goers trend, where some drivers were saving tires, dropping back, and then moving forward later in the run. And then some drivers were taking off very fast and not able to work their way or falling back as the race went from burning those tires up. So I'm interested to see if that transfers over. This Homestead-Miami Speedway is very abrasive, so I think that trend may continue.
Legacy Texas racetrack drivers certainly were having that surge going back and forth. Here tonight, though, we saw during those practice shots, drivers exit of 4, getting loose, getting into the wall as well through that of 3 and 4. Curious to watch and see how drivers are going to have to react once the tire wear truly starts to kick in, because right now we're seeing our front runners all stay pretty stable with one another. Drivers in the back starting to try to get into their own rhythm, as everyone is still connected with the draft in some fashion. But Zach, the tire compounds that these drivers are dealing with, it seems to be, with the way that we saw Texas, like we were saying, that back and forth complex of some drivers were pushing and then they would fall back. Tonight, I'm expecting to see kind of a similar thing of that, just because of past Homestead races we've seen in other series.
Yeah, this track, again, very abrasive. And that's similar to the Legacy Texas track that we ran. So with that older version of Texas, I think that matches up pretty well. These tracks were not too far different from each other back in that history of when that track was at that style. So I think a lot of what you learned there from Texas can carry over here to tonight, where it is a night race, so that actually adds in a different factor. As you see Diego Valle making a pass on Timmy McNally, he continues his trend of in these oval races just not qualifying well. He was so fast in practice, and again, I don't know if he messed up his qualifying lap or what. It was just so slow here in qualifying that started 26th and he's already up to 16th. So he's going to have to continue what he's been doing for the whole season here, and he did a good job of it at Texas there.
Yeah, he certainly did do a great job at Texas, and I went back in and watched while this race is going on and kind of get a sense of what happened to Diego there. Put in a very slow first lap, was trying to prepare for that second lap, got into the outside wall. That's what hurt that of the 77. Currently right now is our biggest mover of the day, as we get to see this great battling that's going on between the 24 of Kyle Bowling, who won this race last season as they were in the Gen 7 Cup car. Now they're in the ARCA machine, and it's also going to have the Daytona winner of this season, Christopher Wade, to his outside, and really starting to put the pressure on one another. Zach, driving that close, certainly an advantage for some and a disadvantage for others.
And it can be. You can easily make a mistake, and then that's the end of both of your nights very, very quickly. As again, here at Stars and Stripes, no fast repairs to save you if you have those mistakes. So you got to make sure to stay strong. But, ooh, Zachary Nelson way up the racetrack there on the exit of 2, almost slides up into that 15 Wade. He had to back out of that situation, and that just shows you when you're side by side, you got to pick and choose your battles sometimes, because if you stick your nose in there and a driver makes a mistake, you can easily be taken out of a situation. As we hop up here to Jason Gratton in the 8 machine. He's got Thomas Ogle in the 31, and also Ross Tatum and Brian Scalise here from 6th all the way back to 9th. This group starting to get a little bit stacked up, and interesting to see right now these guys looking to go all the way down to the white line under that seam here in 1 and 2. I'm interested to see if that line changes up as the run goes on, or does someone else find a little grip somewhere else.
Thomas Ogle going to be poking his nose to the inside of the 8 machine of Jason Gratton. Not a lot of movement's been going on up front. Some drivers have gone up 1 to 2 positions. Others have stayed exactly where they qualified. And starting to see some wiggling moves as Ross Tatum now going to drop to the inside groove. That's going to help Thomas Ogle getting a little bit of that draft toe into turn number 1, side by side for the battle for 6th and for 8th.
He's going to love that toe down that front straightaway for that draft, and even down this back straightaway, but luckily he does clear the 8 machine, slides up behind Scalise here. The only spot you're not going to like that draft is in the corners. When you're in the corners, you lose downforce from the car in front of you, putting off that dirty wake that comes off that rear spoiler, and the exits and off the quarter panels too. So it's tough to follow somebody, but you definitely will take it when you're down the straights, as you see now Scalise in the 48 machine with the 31 directly below, trying to hold back Ogle. I think Ogle right now got the preferred groove right now as part of the race right there on the bottom groove. Does clear him, and I look back to Texas even. Thomas Ogle, one of the best cars on the long run there at Texas. We'll see if that can even transfer over here soon.
Well, we're 11 laps in of 133 Stars and Stripes, one of the very few leagues that do not utilize stage break racing, meaning this race could go from flag to flag, from green flag to checkered flag, if these drivers can keep it clean and green for themselves. But the trends, the last 3 races, there's been at least 1 caution, and that's it. And that is crazy to think that one track can be so consistent at that time. But there's also some drivers that love this track and the way that they've been running. See Andrew Medlin on the move going forward, and he's one of the fastest drivers of those outside of the top 10.
Trying to make big moves here is that 18. Same with the 24 Bowling. He's was almost back to 13th, now back up to 11th. We'll see if Medlin can try to make something happen. He's got Christopher Wade. So this is a good group of drivers right here stacked up on top of each other. They also got Dylan Grimm in the 17. I mean, it is a very stacked field here, I must say, for these guys on Stars and Stripes. I mean, pretty much you could go all the way back, to the 27th and have all these drivers that have huge effects on each other of how they're going to run. And it just shows you what a great field they got going. Is Grimm trying to close down as he's got Gratton right in front of him. This group is starting to get a little bit bigger as Ogle now leads it with Tatum dropping back one position. So this is showing who is saving and who is not. I think a few drivers definitely letting some go, and a few drivers saying, I'm going to go up here and get track position.
Yeah, I mean, of all those drivers inside of our top 12 to 13, there's only about a couple of drivers really on the move. Thomas Ogle, that Dylan Grimm really charging their way. Christopher Wade up 4 positions. But if you want to talk biggest mover, that is Diego Valle, who started all the way back in 26th position up to 14th. That's 12 positions up for the 77, as he is on the charge to catch up to that group we were just looking at.
A little bit sideways there for the 77 as he comes off of turn number 4 there. As that grip level on that bottom groove is where you're going to see a lot more drivers slide out, especially as they cross over that seam of that progressive banking. It'll make that car really want to step out sideways, and doing a good job right now of progressing through the field like he's done for majority of the weeks here in the oval side of things, because the times that I look back for him, he qualified well at Sonoma last week, just had a different pit strategy that didn't allow him to get maybe the position that he wanted. But at these ovals, he's had a tough time qualifying. Again, sideways there for just a tough time qualifying, but he's been so excellent in the races. And when you start back here, sometimes you can use this to your advantage. You learn things that other drivers up front may not know how to do, just due to the fact that you've got the experience of working your way past people and going through the field.
And working through the field certainly is something you want to grab, but you might need a caution if you're going to catch up to these three. It is our top three, all in the same picture, all within 4/10 of one another. It's Kyle McCoy, Scott Rickard, and Kevin O'Keefe. O'Keefe going with a very different exit from the other two. But our top three here, Zach, I mean, Kyle McCoy almost built up a half a second lead over Scott Rickard. It is now closed in by half, and now our top three all there in line. And that of Andrew Hess, he's just sitting in the wings, letting these drivers run as hard as they want.
That he is. He is lurking in the background there and fourth in that 5 machine. And that's something that Andrew Hess has done good this season is he hasn't really went too hard on the early runs, and it's paid off. I mean, I look back to Michigan. He was very, very strong on long runs, and even sometimes the best car on the racetrack during those long runs just ended up in that wreck there at the end of the race between him and the 48. And that really shook things up for the ending of his series for that night. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Can they start to work their way forward with saving this tire, or does it just continue to even out between the group up front? But right now, Kyle McCoy is still holding on to that lead, while Derek Offerman in the 20, season 1 winner here, up to 16th there.
Season 1 winner, Derek Offerman, that's first season was in this same car and was performing so well in that first season. But we're now into season 6, Zach, and I know you as a driver, you've also been a part of leagues where it just feels like each season that comes by, that gap between drivers that were so dominant in the first season and first 2 seasons really starts to get a lot closer because of the fact that the skill level continues to rise and rise. And Derek Offerman, he certainly is someone that's hoping for some of that season 1 speed to just bubble up at some point, but he is right now just battling to make it into the top 15 tonight.
And he started in the 8th position, so he has fell back here. And the gap, the gap that you brought up, Sam, about leagues, they grow over time. So that is a thing that is very, very common that we see a lot, that over time the leagues grow and new drivers come in that are pose threats to the rest of the drivers around them. You got to grow with them. And Derek Offerman here are going to be trying to continue a lot of success he had in that season 1 here. But just early in the season has not had that replicate for him. So right now dropping back, but trying to hold on to the best he can. He's also got Joshua Robinson and Aaron Hale going around the outside, going to split him 3 wide. So the 20, I don't know if this is a saving maneuver or if he's just struggling at the moment.
For Derek Offerman, he has been struggling the last 2 seasons, hoping for something to come back as we drop back behind. Check out some new drivers showing up. And if you haven't noticed already, we're running these special schemes of around 2000 to about 2006 are what a lot of these drivers are running. And we got a newcomer out there in the 19.
That we do, Sam. Yeah, the 19 there, Richard Hurst there, 21st right now. He's right in front of the 9 of Zach Kreitz. So the 2 Everett Ham cards back from the 2000s there. Very cool, iconic paint schemes with the German Mayfield and the Casey Kane paint scheme. And really, really enjoy the numbers that they have on that car because just the spokes that they added onto the number just was a really cool effect. So those 2 Dodges there trying to do their best. Now they're going to battle down this back straightaway and try to show which Dodge is more superior.
Sometimes you miss seeing Dodge in NASCAR and get to see it here on screen on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Your Thursday night for that of the Stars and Stripes throwback season. This is season 6 of Stars and Stripes. Each season they go through all the different cars that they want to run. Season 1 they were in the ARCA car. They went up to the trucks. Season 2, season 3 was Xfinity. They went up to that of the Cup car. And oh no, it's Derek Offerman and a wreck strikes. Dodge is taking out one another and flipping is going to be the 9 machine.
The 9 on his roof. And luckily he ends back up on his tires there, but it's required damage for the 9 machine. Zach Kreitz as he rolls away from that wreck. That was an intense moment here to start off this race on lap 23 of this 133, Sam. You normally don't see a car flipping when it comes to the Homestead-Miami Speedway.
You really don't, and it seemed to be some type of issue for that of Aaron Hale and also contact between himself and Derek Offerman that kind of started all of that chaos. A very unfortunate circumstance to strike for these drivers. Zach Kreitz in the 9, like you said, required damage. Taking a tow was Derek Offerman. But as we watch this 40 were expecting to see a little bit of issues going on. He was blinking for a second, but Zach, look at that front left tire. That does not look right for himself.
That is a malfunction there, folks. The biggest thing that I can think is either his wheel shut off and he pretty much just completely turned left and locked up on him there, because the speed drops immediately when that wheel breaks left, and it's both front wheels doing it. So tough break there, because now look, Zach Kreitz going for the wild ride there. Derek Offerman involved in that also. So many drivers involved in that incident that were just innocent bystanders in a technical malfunction, it seems like, for Aaron Hill. And when stuff like that happens, it's kind of out of nowhere. It's not something you can predict. And you can see here on this second replay, watch that left front wheel here as he comes through this corner. It's just going to immediately crank left. And that right there just tells me a telltale sign of a technical issue.
Oh, my side, it looked like he blinked and then it just slowed down and snapped on that wheel. It looked like there might have been an internet issue with the wheel. On top of that, there's going to be the initial context of drivers just nowhere to go. And you cannot even predict that, of a driver just dropping in speed that quickly. And in an instant, it goes from us just taking it as a normal race to one of the big ones, the strike here at Homestead, lap number 25. And our first caution strikes here tonight.
Like you said, Sam, no way to predict that, folks. So tough break for a lot of these drivers here involved in that, just trying to make laps and, make their race and figure it all out. So just very, very tough. But, man, interesting calls here made by a few drivers. It looks like Ross Tatum, he stays out while the rest of the field comes in. So, they do have 4 sets of tires here tonight total. So now if drivers came in and did change tires for themselves, that's going to put them at an interesting point, because they're only going to have 2 sets of tires left in their box.
Yeah, but this is, I believe, at the timing of this coming out, this turns this race kind of into a one-stop after this. So it's not the worst thing in the world to take your set of tires here. It just means instead of gambling for an extra set later on in the race, you're taking it in the early portions, where if you just see one driver staying out, you're taking that. If you're Ross Tatum, you're kind of panicking at this moment, realizing you've got a 25 lap difference on tires, and these drivers around him are going to be having over a second faster lap times than what this 21 was doing. This is going to be a little bit of chaos. Drivers are going to have to be patient with one another, trying to figure out how to get around this 21. But here's going to be our first true test of what it's like to have major speed difference on tires. 21 to Ross Tatum, going to be the one to watch out for, as we are green once again for that of the South Beach 200.
He got a great start, at least for him. This is going to give him options to figure out where he wants to go to allow these drivers to pass by. And looks like he goes up the racetrack a little bit to ride the seam. This is going to allow Scott Rickard to get in positions that he hasn't been tonight, and that's going to be leading this field as they come off of turn 2. Surprised to see Ross Tatum hanging on this well already, but as the speed builds up and as the heat starts to rebuild back up, we should see this 21 start to fall through the field. And there you can see through 3 and 4, the 28 and the 32 making big moves, but the 32 loose, almost wrecking it.
Scott Ricker keeping it off the wall. He goes down on the apron. It's bouncing down there, but he holds on, gets back up onto the track, and we stay green. A little bit of a scare, but the 32 keeps it in line. That McCoy's going to pull away from this race as everyone just files back in. That could have been nasty, as Ross Tatum still slowly falling back, and the rest of the field trying to figure out, where do we go low? Do we go high? And this 21 just kind of running his own race.
What a save, though, by Scott Rickard. That just shows you why he's won 3 races in a row. The wheelmanship behind that 32 is definitely there, and there's no mistake in that. As you see the 6 of Will Bustle here, he's going to look to the inside of Scott Rickard and try to make a move down here into 1 and 2. But yeah, Ross Tatum there, that lone man dropping back all by himself with the older tires. And, Sam, I do really think it was a no-brainer to come in and get the tires, because like you said, it pretty much makes this race a one-stop if it was to go green. And if it does go green from here, I'm pretty sure Ross Tatum can't make it a one-stop due to just not having the fuel that these guys will have either.
Yeah, that is going to be so difficult. It was around a 1 to a 2 stop if you can figure out how to save enough fuel. But with the field being on fresh tires and you're the only one, you're just losing too much time. You're going to have to come to pit road at some moment, and that's going to put you at least 1, maybe 2 laps down based on the amount of time that you decide to lose to our leaders that just continue to pull away. I mean, looking at the battling right now, even 3 wide like this, these drivers are running faster than Ross.
They are, man. This 3-wide battling's intense too, because Grattan was thinking about keeping it there for a moment. He backed down the back straightaway, but here comes Ogle trying to make his big move, and even in front of him, Bowling, who's really been working his way up after starting 15th, now up into the top 5, into the top 6 there in that 24 machine. So doing a great job here already as Scott Rickards got past there and trying to get up to Dylan Grimm there to break back into that top 4. So these drivers all single filing back out, but they're trying to make any little bit of ground they can here to find some track position.
With all the battlings going on, it's allowing drivers that were in the middle of the pack to try to make their move forward. Here's Brian Scalise, and Scalise, a very interesting night for that of the 48 as we drop back to that in Nate Lynch. But Brian Scalise, certainly a driver I want to talk about at some point a little bit more, Zach. He, once again, one of the fastest during practice. He did that. He's done that a couple of times this season, but it's been the qualifying where he just hasn't been able to get the pole. And then once we get to race trim, he's sitting in the middle of the field for most of the race.
It's tough to translate that practice speed to race speed sometimes. You know, some drivers, they go out and practice and they don't run, a hot lap per se. So they don't go out there trying to find that crazy amount of speed, trying to put down the fastest lap they can. They go out there trying to find a rhythm. I know a lot of drivers don't even look at the timing sheet. Just they go by the feel. And I can tell you myself as a driver, that's kind of how I feel. If I feel good, I don't care what the speed is, because you get that certain feeling. You know when you're going to be strong and consistent. And sometimes that speed on that timing sheet doesn't always translate to the race. And I think that's what's been for Scalise this season. He's had fast times. It's just not translated yet to a good finish for him, in these oval races. So we'll see how it works out. I mean, he was definitely quick at Texas and Michigan, so we'll get to see if he can find something to happen here tonight at Homestead. Right now he's located in 13th with Medlin and Wade right up there in front of him, looking to battle maybe.
And also in front of Wade, biggest mover, that of Diego Valle, finally has cracked into the top 10 for the 77. He is continuing to make these marches when we come to these oval tracks of the fact that he might not qualify well, but he'll get up front at some point. But I mean, even when we talked to him during interviews, Zach, it just seems like he recognizes qualifying has been the struggle point, but he at least accepts that he has the speed to climb through the field.
That he has, man. This has been so impressive to watch each and every oval race we've had so far. Just qualify bad, and then just it seems almost easy at some points for him. And again, like I brought up earlier, you can learn things by this. You can figure out how to work the dirty air. You can figure out where it's the easiest place to make passes, where it's easy to defend drivers when you're in the middle of the field. So it's not always a detriment to start back there, especially if you feel like you can work your way up through the field. But I tell you, it's going to be tough if he has this race go green. You're losing just valuable amounts of time to leaders up front like Kyle McCoy, Kevin O'Keefe, who right now have clear track in front of them, and they're able to run their own pace while you're just having to focus on gaining what you can at this moment. Because if you don't gain now, it's going to be tougher and tougher to gain later as that pass gets very, very tough as those tires get older. But right in front of him, Grattan has a big moment. He slides down the racetrack. Maybe Valle can get to the outside, but it's actually going to be Grattan to the inside of Bustle.
As this battling is going on for that of 8th place, there's also other battlings happening in front of them for the lead as well. Kyle McCoy trying to figure out how to hold off that of Kevin O'Keefe, as O'Keefe asked to relinquish that attempt. It just seems like that of the 23 much faster through 1 and 2. Then on the backstretch, he's side by side with that of Kyle McCoy. But when he tries to make the pass through 3 and 4, that just seems like it's so different for the 23. He just cannot conquer this pass.
That is one place that is tougher to make the pass work from the bottom, is 3 and 4 in my opinion. You get that right up on that seam where Kyle McCoy is running, kind of cutting down across. That is the preferred groove there in 3 and 4. And you can see even Kyle McCoy having a little bit of a moment there coming out of 4. That's going to give Kevin O'Keefe a chance here down this front straightaway. But through 1 and 2, that very bottom groove works very well. So it's not surprising to see him have a shot down there. But again, it seems like Kyle McCoy just able to do enough just to defend that 23 back. But here comes another run down the back straightaway. This might be Kevin O'Keefe's chance here to try to make it happen once again as they go side by side in the 3.
I've been down into turn number 3 and not able to completely make the pass. He'll stay almost equal on the exit of the corner, but that'd be a slide by both drivers, and they're going to be drag racing down across the line into turn number 1. The driver that's loving this, once again, we talked about it before the last yellow, it's Andrew Hess, just sitting and watching this group battling as the 5 machine learning where he wants to be, and a slide job is made. Kevin O'Keefe, no leader here at Homestead, but yet to lead this lap. Here comes Kyle McCoy fighting back to the inside.
Back to the inside it is for the 28, but the 23 going to cover that off there through the middle of the corner. And, you know, I seen that there going down the 1. If Kyle McCoy didn't decide to back out of that situation, there would have been contact. The 23 got in there deep, trying to make sure he got good speed on the entry of the corner and to get past his 28. And the 28 saw he was washing up the racetrack, not able to hold his line down there, decided, you know what, this is a best bet. I just let him go at the moment as he's going to be coming back to him off the exit of this corner. We'll see. Can Kevin O'Keefe hold this pressure? The 28. We've seen Kevin O'Keefe have strong runs this season so far, but I think the long run is where we got to see that speed pick up.
I'm looking at the racing right now. Kevin O'Keefe is just relentless of trying to hold off that inside on the exit of turn 4. That just seems to be where he just naturally wants to pull this 23-2, but it's hurting him a lot on the straightaway speed. Now going to be going a little bit above that seam, giving an opening here for Kyle McCoy to the inside. Almost looping it was that of O'Keefe. He holds on steady. He's getting a good picture here of Kyle McCoy trying to figure out where to place himself, but looking at the times of the drivers that are inside of our top 5, it's the driver in 4th, Scott Rickard, starting to close up on that 5, who is the fastest right now.
That he is. I was just about to say that while these guys are battling and fighting it out right here up front, Scott Rickard, after his huge moment on these restarts, he is working his way back into the picture. And we've seen he has been personally the most consistent driver when it comes to the long run pace. And I'm not surprised by that so far this season with those 3 wins in a row. So long run pace can really get you far. And he's been using it to the best of his advantage here this season as he's working closer to Andrew Hess here in the 5 machine.
I mean, Zach, we want to talk about consistency from this 23. We've had 4 races so far coming into tonight. This driver has found himself being up front, winning 3 like we said. He's gotten 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 1 pole this season at 23. Like I said, probably one of the most consistent to watch out for is there's the pass for the lead. Kyle McCoy, the 28. He rips it right back as Kevin O'Keefe only got the lead a couple of laps there. As Kyle McCoy, I mean, we talked about that limbo stage of, you know, at one point you might be feeling like you're ahead, the other you might be feeling like you're dropping back. It just seems like this 28 machine, he might lose a couple of laps, but he just overall knows how to get back up front.
He's just excellent here, personally, in my opinion. He just has that knack for being able to get up front and keep pace. That's one of the things that some drivers, you know, you can get up front and make those moves to get past people, but then you lose pace as the run goes on. We haven't had a super long run yet. I mean, he was doing excellent there before that caution came out. But I'm interested to see, does this trend continue even into the long run? Because looking back to the past, that's kind of been his MO. He got out there, got to the lead, and just never looked back. It was kind of one of those situations. It wasn't ever like, oh, man, he's slowing down the save. It just seemed like it came very naturally. As in the background, you saw Scott Rickard make the pass on Andrew Hess, who just pulled over, let him go by. He says, you know what? I'm saving my stuff. You go ahead, 32.
For Andrew, he's racing just to see how this race turns into at this point. I mean, he's seen so many different ways that races could end. He was right there in the mix at the Michigan big wreck that happened. He's been there at the Legacy Texas when there's been wrecks there. He was up front. Also, when you think back to the Daytona race, this 5 knows how to be up front. Right now, just trying to figure out how to survive. But behind him is this long train of drivers that are working all the way from 5th all the way back to that of 12th place. Our drivers just settling in, slowly trying to find their own rhythm and running pretty equal lap times to our leaders.
Valle once again continuing his pursuit towards the front. Wasn't able to make the pass there on the 8 of Jason Gratton, but he continues to try to take every single run he gets and tries to go forward. But He's going to have two hungry drivers right behind him in the 15 and the 18. Andrew Medlin there with Wade in that 15 machine here. As it, like you said, it's a stack up between this group is really all the way back to Andrew Medlin there. It's only 3 seconds separating our top 12, so it's showing how impressive this is for all these drivers to be able to, keep up this well and show this much pace compared to each other.
And, as we're looking at this group, that of Andrew Medlin just chilling out back tail end of this line. Certainly, trying to stay focused is this 18, as we always see him trying to stay as focused as possible into these races. Right now, seeing that of Diego Valle and as well that of the 15, Christopher Wade, side by side, trying to pick which lane to be settled in.
Side by side action here, and Valle under attack for the first time tonight, possibly, as Wade's trying to get it done. And again, Andrew Medlin, like you said, just the focus in his face there as he's trying to move his way forward in the 18 machine and try to get a good finish for himself. He was in a tough position there in Michigan, having got caught up in a wreck late in that race, took away a good finish for him. As looks like we're seeing some passing here as this run continues on. So great stuff from everybody. As looks like the 24 of Kyle Boland, he's trying to move his way forward also, as everybody looking to gain positions here as this run continues. And that's just a factor of the tires. Some drivers are going to drive a little bit wrong, some drivers are going to drive right, and that usually trends to make the tire wear just that much different to allows you to have that edge of your competition to make those passes.
We're basing it off of the driver's fastest laps. The field is already kind of dropped off by that about 1.2 seconds of time from their fastest times to what they're running for the majority of the field. There is one driver, though, that is settling all the way back in 20th place. That's Ross Tatum, who is the driver that still has not pitted here. Zach, we're 50 laps in for that 21 machine. If he's going to make this strategy work, and he's the only one that's completely off strategy from everyone else, when would you say would be the preferred time for this 21 to come into pit road to even have an opportunity to fight against everyone else, as he's right now finding himself to be that of 13 seconds off the pace?
This is so tough to say for him, especially because, like you said, about 13 seconds, almost 14 seconds back off the lead. Right now, his last lap was a 31.11 compared to our leader's 34.69. So you're looking at almost a half a second in lap time difference between these two drivers. That's only going to get worse as the run continues on also. So if you're Ross Tatum, I mean, you got to stretch it as far as you possibly can. I think we're going to get to see how far the fuel tank can go here for this 21, because you want to stay on the lead lap and catch a caution here to, have an opportunity to get back on the same even footing as everybody. But if you don't catch that caution, you're going to have to hope to, once you do pit, you got to hope a caution doesn't come out at that point, because then you'll get trapped a lap down. So there's so many opportunities for this to all go wrong for Ross Tatum, and so many limited opportunities for it to go right. So for him, I think it's just run the tank out, and we'll get to see what type of gas mileage numbers we get here at this 1.5 mile racetrack.
Well, it's certainly going to help us on getting those numbers precise. But if you're looking for yourself to get the precise numbers, go to iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag, they're mainly known for their iFlag virtual flag system that they've got patented, but also as, oh boy, a little bit of contact there with the 19 and 21. But iRacing iFlag as well have themselves the digital pit board that gives you great data such as fuel usage, your average per the last 5 laps, as well as plenty of more great information to allow you, the driver, to have all the information to perform at your highest ability. Go to iRacingIFlag.com and use our promo code FreakyFast2022 today. Zach, a little bit of a showing that maybe giving a bump in the center of the corner isn't the best thing to do.
Not at all. I mean, even at the super speedways, we say don't bump in the corners. Well, especially at the Mount Halves, don't bump in the corners. That's when your car's most vulnerable to make a big mistake and slide out and have a problem. So I'm not surprised to see Ross Tatum almost lose that machine there, but great drive by him to hold on to it. But you don't want to have that happen too many times for yourself, or you can end up in that barrier very, very quickly. And we have had some shaking up front. Kyle McCoy's still in the lead, but Scott Rickard, he's made his charge back to the second position, and he has really been able to close in actually on Kyle McCoy a decent bit, especially this last lap with the 43 there. Brian Chu just getting out of pit road, he's kind of shook things up. So Andrew Hess up to third, and Kevin O'Keefe even back to fourth.
Yeah, really seeing the holdup being made as, oh no, Jason Gran entry the corner, a little bit of brushing the outside wall, trying to get as much out of the exit, the entry as possible, just a little bit too high. This could be costly. Don't want to get too much of that side damage for that 8 machine, but Will Bustler climbing back up. He fell back up out of 8 positions from where he qualified in 3rd place. Kind of surprised the fact that the 6 hasn't been able to move up more, or at least try to stay competitive up front. But again, we've got those hot lappers and drivers also that are still trying to learn how this car reacts in the draft.
It's so different sometimes too. We brought it up earlier. You want the draft from the straightaways, but in the corners, it has such a different balance change to the cars, and it can be different from each setup to each setup. So you got to figure that out, and that's why I say sometimes being in the back of the pack is not the worst, because you get to learn those type of things. But probably most likely what they're struggling with is when they get in this traffic is just the nose of the car not wanting to turn left. It's wanting to wash out towards that wall, and the front tires are scrubbing, which only makes them hotter. Is Diego Valle. You can see it there. He got a good portion of that dirty air, and he washed up almost into the wall, and that's going to allow Wade in the 15 to try to get to his inside to try to make something happen.
Tries to get to the inside, not able to make the pass just yet, but Diego continues to get a little loose and wiggly off the exit of the corner in the 15. He able to stay side by side. It's going to be the best chance for Christopher Wade. He's going to dive into the corner, try to slide up in front of the 77, does just that. He's going to be just barely clear, comes up, slides in front of Diego, but Diego does the crossover move. The 77 trying to get right back to the 15.
Crossover City there, coming off of that corner and trying to make something happen. But I think if you're Wade, you're in the preferred spot. It's always easier to defend on that outside here at this 1.5 miles, just due to the speed you carry off the corner. But Valle not giving up one bit at all. He's continuing the fight all the way down the front straightaway. What's Andrew Medlin looking to do? Can he pick a lane to choose to help them? It looks like Valle just again, yeah, he made the mistake that allowed the 15 to get to the inside, make the pass. But it's Wade off the exit of 2 now who has the run. So it's just a back and forth tug of war between these two.
They've got to be careful on how they're running this, because they are getting extremely close to that outside wall, as Diego's going to try one more time. And the big thing you're looking for is for the 15 when he moves up across the seam to wiggle. Not a lot of wiggling there. That looked the smoothest I've seen any driver coming out of turn number 4. Christopher Wade has to hold off for this dive bomb move from the 77.
Dive bomb maneuver from that 77, but can he clear? That's going to be the key. If you can clear the center of the corner, that's what you want to do, but it's in the exits for the 15 where he's making runs, and he's still able to hold side by side. And all this is doing, too, is letting that group up in front of him get away from them, Sam. So this is tough if you're the 77 seeing this happen here. You know you need to make this pass quickly if you want to have a chance to go up there, but ooh, interesting calls here.
Pit road for Kevin O'Keefe. He is not going to be able to make it. He's going to be aiming here at the almost halfway marker to come into pit road. And he's one of those drivers that already pitted for fuel and tires on that last caution. It's kind of shocking from the 23, but he was also losing a lot of time. I don't think he was feeling comfortable with the tires and wanted to pit for the 23.
I tell you, Sam, that is one of the biggest head-scratching moments I've seen all night, because Ross Tatum's out there on 61 lap old tires and 61 laps of fuel used up, and he's still out there going along. So it shows you can go farther than this 35 laps that Kevin O'Keefe did. Maybe trying to break it up into a 2-stop. I feel that may not be the way to go, folks. So he's going to have to figure that out and hope that some of these other drivers get in trouble by doing the one-stop.
Trying to go figure out, maybe there was some damage somewhere. I can't find anything. It just seemed like the tires were going away. He was losing too much time. It felt like it was better to pit now than later on. And in some ways, this strategy could work out if he could build up a big enough gap over the rest of the field, because these drivers certainly were looking for a lot. Kevin O'Keefe, though, looking back to the 23, he is struggling on new tires, almost brought out a yellow as he is slowly marching down the front straightaway. He almost wrecked that of Brian Scalise as he got back out on track, and just the complete difference on the tire wear. The 23 was not expecting the closing rate, and drivers are going to be having to be careful once they come into pit road. That closing rate difference is going to be a massive thing to watch out for.
Whew, that was some close moments there for sure as the cold tires start to warm up. Here's the 4 machine of Patrick Hasty. He's trying to work his way here into position, but about 6.7 seconds behind the field. So a tough break for him as now we're going to see Timmy McNally make the pass on Joshua Robinson as Robinson's season continues to dwindle, really, in my opinion. He was so strong last season in the next-gen car, and again, that is the one thing that's the beauty of this series is you have to be good from car to car, and certain cars just don't fit people. So seems like this ARCA car hasn't been working out for the Tim machine like the next-gen car did for him last season. And, for example, the changeup is just like Scott Rickard from the next-gen car. He was not as good in that, and then the ARCA car, immediately he's back to top form.
Yeah, I mean, when we say that about Joshua Robinson, yes, he's up to 14th. He's up 8 positions before he qualified, but we were talking about Joshua Robinson last season as a championship contender to watch out for, and now he's just hoping for top 10 finishes at this point as he's racing that of the 97 of Zachary Nelson as we are closing into halfway. Crazy how this race has piled on. We've had 1 caution so far, and we are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it should be the start of pit stops for these drivers. Strategy is going to be a key thing to watch out for. But man, tonight, for that of the Homestead-Miami Southern Beach 200, it has been a great race so far, and leading the way is the driver that's won this race 2 times this season. It's that of Kyle McCoy. When we come back, it should be a good one. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stars and Stripes throwback season here for that on your Thursday night on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's their 6th season of the Stars and Stripes. This is only race number 5 of the season. And tonight we've had 1 caution so far, but we've got to give a big shout out to the sponsors here at Stars and Stripes. Starting things off with ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. And as well, huge thanks to that of Next Level Racing. Big thanks to the sponsors that allow that of Stars and Stripes to put on this league and have such a great show for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting to cover, as that of Cal McCoy still leading the way, almost a second and a half over that of Andrew Hess. We've had 2 drivers come into pit road to get service done for themselves, and now can make it 3, as it was first that of Kevin O'Keefe that we're still scratching our head on why he came into pit road so early. Then Ross Tatum just was in 6 laps ago and finally getting service done and back out on track is going to be Jonathan Woods in the 21. As some great racing up here in the top 10. It's been a blast to watch. You got the 8 machine in that of Jason Gratton, the 15 of Christopher Wade, and the 77 of Diego Valle, all running for 8th place.
A little stacked up there for this group, but speaking of Kevin O'Keefe, he just unlapped himself in the 23. So he's back to on the lead lap. But again, still a head-scratching move, I think, for a lot of us. The only way this works out for Kevin is if we do get a caution after this sequence of pit stops where he would cycle to the lead, having pit so early compared to everybody, that that would be the way he goes. Because even Ross Tatum in the 21 machine, I mean, he, just pitted 7 laps ago, so it shows you how far you could go on tires. So it's definitely doable, but it's definitely seeming like Kevin O'Keefe felt that was the most responsible way to get it done, is come down early. So we'll see how that strategy plays out for him, Sam, but I definitely scratched my head over that one for a minute there, as you're seeing Valle try to make the pass that Wade just did.
Yeah, still trying. Diego Valle at least is trying to follow in the tire tracks of the 15. Wasn't able to get by Christopher Wade after losing out on their battle that they were having about that 15 laps ago. Jason Gratton in this 8 machine trying his best, as he'll fall able to at least get a run. He'll keep it side by side for now, but a good battle here for 10th place, as we are past halfway. If you're just joining us now here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, welcome. Hopefully you've been enjoying your Thursday night. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall, and running productions in the background is going to be that of Robert Moyer. As these drivers are running 133 laps, there are no stages. We've only had 1 caution. That was back in lap 25, where we had a very odd situation where Aaron Hales, it seemed like maybe his racing rig, maybe an internet issue. We're not completely sure on what happened there, but his wheel broke. And then it completely slowed him down, causing a huge calamity that has taken out 2 other drivers, with that of Zach Kreitz in the 9 and Derek Offerman in the 20 machine. But for most of these drivers, they've been staying up front, clean green, and a couple of odd strategies, but some drivers into pit road. Brad Scalise going to be the newest of them, as we're past halfway. And Zach, we're expecting this next stop to be that money stop, but when are you thinking that they might be starting to see the majority of the field trickle in?
I think they're going to try to stretch it as far as they can go here, just to have a good, run to the end of the race. Because right here, we're going to be coming up to, when we get to lap 80, 53 laps to go in this race. They've done 53 right now, crossing the line for 54 for Kyle McCoy. So that's right about halfway when you get to that lap 80 point. So I think 80 might be the window, but I think some drivers will maybe try to take it 85, maybe even 90, just to have a little bit shorter run on the tires, to have a little bit more relaxation for them. So we'll see how it plays out, but I do know a product that if you were getting ready to come to pit road, that would help you out very, very well, folks. And it's one of the best button boxes out there. Not only does it help do the driver functionalities, such as letting your competition know that you're pitting in, but it also allows you to control the race from your driver's seat with race control right at your fingertips. And that is the admin box, folks. Make sure you head on over and check out their website. It's adminbox.com, and 2 X's in box. Use the discount code there you see on the screen, FFB/box with 2 X's, and you'll get yourself a nice discount for race control at your fingertips and helping you get those leisureful pit stops that you can easily hit one button to let everybody know what's going on with your car.
As you're talking about pit stops and giving notifications, a couple of drivers just did that. Zachary Nelson just got himself into pit road, as well as that of Dylan Grimm, one of the highest runners hitting pit road. Now we're going to be seeing a few others joining into the group. It's going to be that of Kyle Bowling, Thomas Ogle, Jason Gradden, all hitting pit road this lap, and it seems like this is the cue. It's time to hit pit road.
It's all heating up now here as you see Scott Rickard, who's fell back to the third place position off the back of Andrew Hess and Kyle McCoy, about 2.1 seconds back. But I will say, Andrew Hess in the 5, who is hitting pit road here, he comes and looks Scott Rickard. He's going to waste no time. He sees the 5 coming. They both get onto that entry of pit road. And, you know, it used to be the fact that you used to have to take that access road on the entry of pit road also. But now they've changed that ruling where you can go down pretty much anywhere you want there on the exit of 4. And it makes it pretty treacherous. When you come down, you got to make sure you get in the pit road nice, but you can't go over that 50-mile-an-hour speed limit.
And Andrew Hess, you're talking about how treacherous it could be. He almost overcorrected and sent it into the inside pit wall at 5. Luckily, he's still able to be running. But Zach, this is kind of an odd situation. I'm shocked by this. Seeing Andrew Hess and Scott Rickard come in, I thought we would see Hess continue to drive on. He was running just as fast as Kyle McCoy, or faster than Kyle McCoy. And now McCoy is going to have a lap advantage on his tires than the drivers that just came into pit road.
You're exactly right, Sam. Yeah, I was surprised to see the 5 do it because he saved a lot during that first run. And, ooh, Kyle McCoy having to back up. That's going to allow the 5 and the 32 a chance to get by him here, especially even with the undercut. But, yeah, it was definitely a moment where I thought the 5 would stretch it the longest of a lot of those drivers up there because it was either matching lap times, like you said, with Kyle McCoy, or even faster. So he was closing that gap down. We'll see now how it all shakes out when they come off the exit of pit road, but he's going to be coming through the access road, and he'll have Dylan Grimm in the 17 looking to get by him, and then also Andrew Hess in the 5 is going to be right here side by side on the exit of the exit, and even Scott Rickard, I think he'll have the momentum in the 32 to get past him.
Big thing to remember as we're seeing drivers blasting their way through, as it's side by side actually here. This would be for what should become battling for second, as these two drivers, it's going to be Scott Rickard, Kyle McCoy. Rickard trying to get by this 28 machine. And right there, Kyle McCoy still at the quarter panel, allowing him to dive it down low. Side by side, we talked about a lap advantage on tires. Well, this could throw that advantage out the window with these drivers trying to catch up to Andrew Hess.
This is what Scott Rickard and really both Kyle McCoy and him don't want to see is side-by-side racing because they're having to overwork the tires while Andrew Hess is probably very much just driving to the beat of his own drum, just driving very easy on the tires, not leaning on too much, as you see Kyle McCoy did finally make the pass there. But yeah, that could take away that one lap advantage that Kyle McCoy did have. Can we see Andrew Hess? I think he sits in the prime position here to try and go win this race, but he's going to have a fast 28 behind him that he's going to have to hold off. But the question is, who manages it better? Because the 5 was quicker at the end of the run there than the 28, but the 28 overall, the full run was the faster car. So we'll get to see how it all shakes out coming down here to the end. But the big thing is also they're about 10 seconds behind Patrick Hasty and Kevin O'Keefe, who had hit pit road at a much longer time ago. So Kevin O'Keefe, he should cycle to the lead once all the pit stops cycle through. But how long before they catch him? Because he's already running 34.90s compared to these guys 33.70s.
Yeah, they're about almost a full second faster than that of Kevin O'Keefe, or even faster than that. Here comes the pass for over Dylan Grimm. It's for 5th place, but what should become the drivers challenging for the win here tonight. Grimm, a 2-lap disadvantage over the 5 as Andrew Hess makes his pass cleanly. And a little bit of a wiggle out of the exit of the corner. That's some lost time as we bounce up to the lead. Patrick Hastings expecting to hit pit road here shortly. And some of these, he's still one of the few drivers that needs to come to pit road. He just came over the radio saying he's coming to pit road. Also, Mike Lynch and George Kovacic. Those are the 3 drivers yet to pit. While Kevin O'Keefe makes the pass, takes the lead position. But Zach, now it's the question of, did O'Keefe build up a big enough lead? Did he pit too early?
I definitely feel like he pit too early there. I mean, I don't even think he could make it from where he pitted anyways, so he's going to have to pit again, most likely, and if he waits too long, it's going to be in a very interesting predicament then. So We'll see how he looks to play the rest of this race out, but right now he's got about a 5.8-second gap, and at one moment it was 9 seconds. So already they're gaining over a second a lap on him, and that's only going to continue to be a trend. So Kevin O'Keefe going to have this lead for maybe 5 to 6 laps, but after that, we're going to see the 5 machine, the 17, the 28, and the 32 all overtake this 23.
Counting down the laps and the time it's going to take to get down to where Kevin O'Keefe gets closed in by Andrew Hess. Well, we're counting down the days until our charity race here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We got ourselves a Daytona 500 in just that of less than 10 days to go here, Zach. It's going to be February 11th, where we're so excited to put on our second annual charity event. Last year, it was that of a 6-hour endurance race at Daytona. This go around, we're going with what we know, and that is oval racing at Daytona, the full 500 miles, and it's all for charity for that of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. But Zach, a great cause, and it's crazy to see the amount of drivers that are left to still sign up, and as well, the time that this race is almost upon us.
Yeah, I can officially say we have 43 drivers signed up. Now, we do have 5 drivers that have yet to make a donation, so those spots could open up. So do go out there and still fill out that entry form for yourself out here if you're looking to race, because we'll put you on a waiting list at that point. So there could be 5 slots that open up here on the 4th in 2 days. So make sure you pay attention to that. But gotta just give everybody here, you know, Sam, Robert, everybody here that works at Freaky Fast, Christopher Norris, who helps with the social media, Trevor Earhart, who commentates for us also. Such a great job to promote this race. We're up to $750 raised now. It's just a mind-blowing to get to this point, and just so happy that we're able to raise money for such a great cause to fight a disease that, you know, hopefully one day we can find a cure for.
And that's the ultimate goal with the charity event, is trying to donate so that they can find a cure. And if they don't find a cure, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation is also there to help out families that are struggling and any financial needs that they can help with the extra funding that they have. But right now, Kevin O'Keefe lost a lot of time being passed by that of Jonathan Woods, as well as that of the 19, and the gap that once was over 14 seconds is down to less than a second, and Andrew Hess preparing to try to make a pass in return number 1, and he's got some screaming fast drivers behind him of Kyle McCoy, as well as Dylan Graham still closing in. And then also a lap car that's trying to lap himself. Watch out for Patrick Hastings in the 4 that's tagged along at the end of this group.
If you're the 5 machine of Andrew Hess, you cannot lose time here. You got to make sure you make a nice clean pass. Don't allow that 28 to close up before you get past the 23. And just like that, with the run down the back straightaway, he's going to be side by side here heading down into the 3. It's going to be a nice and easy pass. Can Kyle McCoy follow through? The key is, can he clear here on the exit to carry the speed outwards? And yes, he does, up to second there for Kyle McCoy. It's going to be a battle now, folks. We got the 5, we got the 28, and this is going to be the battle for the win. And if something goes wrong, that 17 of Dylan Grimm, even though he's on older tires than this group, he's doing an excellent job of keeping right in tow, as he's going to look to go to the outside. Caution!
It's going to be contact on the front stretch. The 2 as well as the 12 going to be making some major contact with one another, and it's the 2 of Mike Lynch, who is finding himself being a lap down, was extremely off the pace, is damaged, wounded, and this changes everything.
Oh man, Sam, this is, like you said, a huge game changer, because right now we're going to have an interesting battle to the end of this race. So about 40 laps to go when we complete, or sorry, no, I'm looking at Mr. Mike Hess's laps, or Mike Lynch's laps there, but still we're under 40, just under 40 to go now. They're going to hit pit road and take some tires. And if you're Kevin O'Keefe, you just got saved by this yellow. This was going to be pretty much a tough break for him at the end of the race, but now the light at the end of the tunnel just brightened up.
Take a look here. Watch out for the 2 and the 12th machine, as that 2 of Mike Lynch going to be on those older tires than that of the 12. Going to be trying to go down low and running his own lap, as the 12's going to be trying to make the outside. But Zach, we talk about the progressive banking and the seams, but the racetrack to the apron, a very not safe place either.
This is very easy to be done. When you go down to that apron, it's super easy to make mistakes, and we'll get to see here exactly how it shakes out here as you're coming off a 4 to 2 on that seam. Gets loose onto the banking transition, and once it gets onto the transition, he's trying to hold on to it, but also Timmy McNally in the same position of getting loose there. It's just two mistakes side by side that compound to one giant yellow here that changes every little thing. You see there, the 1-8 Lynch, he's dodging it. George Kovacic in the 66 there, he's dodging it. So what a wild turn of events we just had here, folks. This is going to re-rack them back up, and we're going to get to see some hard side-by-side race. Coming to the end is, Robinson. There's the replay came to an end. Just a mega hit for him and Mike Lynch.
As we are seeing drivers, some have come into pit road, others deciding not. And Zach, this is shocking because we've got ourselves 11th on back, all deciding to come into pit road if they were on the lead lap to use what is their last set of tires. Then you've got our first all the way down to 10th place, all deciding to stay out, feeling like there could be another caution. And this is where strategy is going to be showing out, because for those that just pitted compared to those that just stayed out, it is about that of 15 to 20 lap difference with all the different pit stops that happened under green.
Wow, this is this is going to change the whole aspect of this race now, because I kind of felt like it may have been a no-brainer to come down pit road. I know they only had probably one set left for majority of the drivers. But they, like you said, Sam, they must be banking on a yellow here. They must feel like this race is not done for a wreck. But at the same time, I feel like we may go caution-free. But when you do mix up the strategies with drivers on old tires and drivers on new tires, it really can add in that spice that causes a yellow to come out. So it's not out of the realm. And if you do have a set of tires and the caution does come out, 10, 15 laps from here now, you will be in a better position. But they're in the same boat of what they are hoping to be in right now with the drivers that are behind them. Because if it stays green, it's going to be one of the drivers that just took tires. Kevin O'Keefe, Diego Valle, Andrew Medlin, Nate Lynch, Brian Scalise, Ross Tatum, Jonathan Woods, Timmy McNally, Joshua Robinson, but he's got huge damage, of course. One of those drivers is most likely going to win this race due to just the difference in tire speed you get from, only 15 lap difference.
If it stays green, I mean, Zach, think of Kevin O'Keefe and Ross Tatum. They both are on the lead lap. They're both on fresh tires, and they both were so off sequence that we were pretty sure they were both out of this race. Now, they could be one of the favorites to watch out for.
It just shows you can never give up in a race. You have to stay focused. You have to stay with your head down and just go for it, because anytime a caution comes out, it changes the whole aspect of a race. And that caution there was just perfectly timed for both of those drivers. So we'll see how this works out. I mean, Kevin O'Keefe, he's got to be feeling very grateful that worked out for him, because if not, he was going to be going from running in the top 5 for majority of the night to probably being outside the top 15 after this race ended. So his chance just opened up, and even the chance for a win now has also opened up, as I believe him, Valle, they're going to be very aggressive to try to get their way up there and use those tires that they've just utilized here for the last time.
As the drivers are ready to get rolling, our second caution of the day. Drivers are set up, stacked up, and we are about to get back to green flag racing for that of the South Beach 200 here at Homestead-Miami. It's that of Andrew Hess, Kyle McCoy, Dylan Grimm, Scott Rickard, Kyle Bowling, Thomas Olga, Will Bustler, that of Jason Grattan, Christopher Wade, and that is Zachary Nelson. Your top 10 on the old tires as we're back to green flag racing down into turn number 1, and they're already trying that 4-3 wide back there.
Let's see who's the most aggressive here on the set, as it's going to be every man for himself now. Andrew Hess knows he's probably just got to go for it. You cannot get out here and just settle for something. The new tires are going to be coming in a hurry. And right now, Hess with the great gap out to Dylan Grimm, Kyle McCoy, Scott Rickard, Kyle Bowling, and Thomas Ogle there for your top 6 positions. And that's going to be the thing. You got a great group of drivers here to hold him back, and Andrew Medlin in the background in 18 almost loses it, but he saves it, just loses a ton of time there as now Ross Tatum and Nate Lynch go by.
Goes on by, but we talked about trying to go through the field and drivers trying to get those advantages or trying to learn. I mean, think about Christopher Wade and also Diego Valle. These two drivers have been dueling around one another, but the tire advantage now goes to the 77. who is now leading this charge. He knows how to make some big passes, and he's going to have to be patient as he's got Kevin O'Keefe trying to settle in. These are the two drivers on the freshest of rubber trying to figure out how to get by and move forward, as they have not been able to do so in just the first couple of laps on this restart.
That they have not. They have been stuck here just in the back of this field, and it does show that, you know, the tires don't fire off the best on brand new tires just due to that cold factor, and other drivers on their own tires have had them cool down and help them get back into a better zone. But I think once these laps start to click through, the heat starts, the pressure start to build up, they'll start to see those newer tires really start to make their work through the field. But right now, Valle is going to be the leader of it. And can he go and get his first win of the season after being so strong at so many of these races so far?
We saw there a little bit of a poke nose from the 77, trying to figure out how to go 3 wide, still not able to get moving forward. He's giving a slight bump to the 6 of Will Bustler. Bustler's going to be feeling very nervous here. Zachary Nelson goes all the way up to the wall, and it's going to be a run of 3 wide, trying to make the pass, and it's the 97 who makes that rip-in-the-wall strategy work the best of everyone there.
Zachary Nelson, what a job by him there to make that work. But here comes Valles now. Bustler loose 3 wide. Ross Tatum has to save his car as he was 3 wide with Christopher Wade and Bustler there. But here comes Andrew Medlin. Medlin almost looking to make it 4 wide as Bustler on the wall again, heading down to the wall.
They've got to be aggressive. Main reason why is they're all trying to figure out how to get by that of Christopher Wade, who's been a very tough task to try to get by Ross Tatum, Andrew Medlin, both on fresh rubber. Nate Lynch is now going to be a driver to watch out for as he's trying to get by all these drivers as he dives it down low. We're right on board with that one machine, trying to get by Will Bustler, seeing the 15 in front of him. Just run, hit your marks as we are coming up to that of 30 laps to go. Again, if this race stays green, we got a very strong feeling the drivers on fresh rubber are going to be the ones to watch out for. That's Diego Valle, Kevin O'Keefe, Ross Tatum, Andrew Medlin, and Nate Lynch. They are the true drivers to watch out for. But if we get a quick yellow, this could change up a lot of the factors, because that of Andrew Hess, Dylan Grimm leading the way, Scott Rickard in third, and the driver that's been the dominator, it's Kyle McCoy, trapped in 4th place right now with last season's winner, Kyle Bowling, right behind him.
Yeah, he's been so dominant, but he's now just stuck in position here as he's going to have to figure something out. The new tires are starting to fire off here now as Valle going to be trying to make his pass for the 6th position on Thomas Ogle. Then you have Kevin O'Keefe right behind him. Ross Tatum is going to be the one also I think we should watch for, because remember, he did save 1 set of tires there at the beginning of that first caution. So if he does go up here and get track position, he still sits in a position to, you know, take tires again, because he would have another set still sitting there. So the 21, he has plenty of options still available.
Plenty of options, but the time isn't there for this race as Kyle McCoy's going to get loose for himself. Squeezed up into Scott Rickard a little bit too much, pulled it way down, and somehow holds on as the 28's going to make the pass for 3rd. And with that wiggle and a shimmy, it's now going to be given some time for the drivers behind to catch up. As Scott Rickard, once again, trying to make this outside lane work, and at this point, the 32 seems to be in survival mode as everyone else is trying to swap around.
3 race wins in a row for Scott Rickard. Doesn't look like a 4th is coming, but at Michigan, he was not in position for much of the night, and it was a late race caution that put him in a good spot to go win that race, and he might get that opportunity once again here if we have something go down. But right now, Valle, they're making the pass into the top 5. Here comes Kevin O'Keefe. Here comes Ross Tatum in the 21. It is going to be the new tires just storming to the front here very soon as the warming up phase happens. Those newer tires are going to really start to overtake the new ones as it's getting loose for some drivers back in the field.
It's getting loose back there, and as well, the 21, you see him in red, bopping his way to the outside, trying to get by Kevin O'Keefe. And for Ross Tatum, he's going with the strategy of I'm going where they're not, and it is working for the 21 machine as he's trying to get by the 23, but Scott Rickard moves up. That's going to be a boxing motion where the 21 needs to make this pass quick on O'Keefe so he doesn't lose more ground.
He cannot get boxed in here, like you said, Sam. And look, his luck, he's going to have the 32 jump to the inside. This opens up the door. Can he roll the top here, have the run off the exit of the corner to cut down in front of the 23? But no, the 32 right directly in front of him. That's going to hold him up here as they go into one, but can the 32 slide back down the racetrack and allow the 21 to get there? This is what Ross Tatum needs to do. He has to make the pass, get to the quarter pound of the 32 car, but just not able to get there once again, as these older tires are holding on much better than I thought. But Kevin O'Keefe knows this could be the battle for the win because Valle is driving away from them up front.
And Ross Tatum right now is driving a little frustrated. I imagine O'Keefe's feeling frustrated as well because Scott Rickard is being the biggest wall right now, and they're both trying to figure out how to use the 32 as a pick. But now here comes Andrew Medlin into the fray.
Andrew Medlin also, he's trying to make something happen. He's on the same set of tires as Tatum and Kevin O'Keefe, but it's going to be tough here because now they got Rickard, who's done a great job on the older set of tires just to hold station of where he's at here in the 6th position. But in the 3 and 4 here, it's going to be Ross Tatum making a nice clean pass. And it's Diego Valle even too up front and to going into the 3rd position past Dylan Grimm, and Kevin O'Keefe trying to drive his way up there. So it's showing right now, if you are not on the newer set of tires, you are dropping back, and next thing you know it, Kyle McCoy and Andrew Hess, they're going to be under threat.
And that of Kyle McCoy, he was back to that of 4th place. He's gotten by 2 drivers up to 2nd, but now he is the sitting duck as Diego Valle, who has finished 2nd fiddle a couple of times this season. He's looked so fast at times, and just the strategy wasn't there. The qualifying's been weak, but here tonight, it just looks like everything's falling into place as we are coming across the line. Still over 20 laps to go. But Zach, if we keep it green, Diego's looking strong. But there certainly are still some hungry drivers behind that are going to be trying to close in on this gap. But Diego needs to make these passes quickly, get some fresh air, and just pull away.
You can't get too worked up, though. I know he's in a good position here, but also Kevin O'Keefe and Ross Tatum and Andrew Medlin are right directly behind him. If he goes out here, tries to fight these guys too hard and make the pass too quick and burns the tires up, he's going to be a sitting duck when it comes to that. But here we go, down the front straightaway side by side with Kyle McCoy, but McCoy has the run on Andrew Hess. He's going to cut down in front of the 77, and the 77 backs out and says, you know what, I'm not wrecking him today.
It just is not worth it to be trying to ruin your race like this. But just like that little bit of a checkup with them being side by side, you might have to make a 3-wide move if you're going to be making a pass for the lead, because here comes Kevin O'Keefe of the 23, Ross Tatum as well. Andrew Medlin is closing into the gap, so we're coming at 20 to go when they cross the line. And it is now coming down to the old tires versus the new. Can Andrew Hess, Kyle McCoy defend the fresh tires behind as they are right there, bouncing on every bumper they can?
Driving it in deep, the 77 of Valle. He knows he needs to clear this 28. He needs to get out in front and get to the inside of this 5 if he wants a chance, because here comes Kevin O'Keefe. He's maybe looking to make it 3 wide, decides better of it down in the 3 and 4. But it has been just like that. Ross Tatum picking the right lane, Andrew Medlin in the 18, and now the 77 even making the crossover move to get to side-by-side from the lead with the 5. It is the top 6 all side-by-side.
Top 6 all on top of one another, side by side for the lead, side by side for the battle for 3rd. And here comes Ross Tatum trying to get by that of Andrew Hess. Diego Valle finally gets the fresh air onto that front bumper as he's going to try to pull away. This 21, remember on that last restart, he looked loose, out of control, and almost wrecked it. He's now up here battling for 2nd place. He's clear. And now it's side by side for that of 5th place. It's Andrew Medlin getting by. Kevin O'Keefe looked like he was on the march for the lead. Now he's the prey just sitting behind.
That he is, Sam. This is very wild to see now as Andrew Medlin makes the pass on Hess. Kevin O'Keefe still stuck on that outer groove there behind the 5 machine, and he's going to be seeing the same drivers on the same set of tires as him just drive away, and that's got to be so frustrating knowing that you had a shot, but it's slipping away every single lap. And even for Ross Tatum, we brought it up, he stayed out in that first caution. He fell back so far. He now has an opportunity to go win this race. So it's the tale of 2 tapes for this half of the race for him.
Just even what's crazy about that, Kevin O'Keefe being blocked off as long as he was, drivers on old tires were starting to close in, as now going to be our top 3, all drivers on new sets of tires. Kevin O'Keefe still trying to get by the 5. He'll finally be able to clear our top 4, all on fresh rubber. And now it's the race to the end. But Zach, if if a caution comes out, the rest of the field are going to be a prime spot if a caution, because about half the field still has another set. The other half, they don't.
It's going to set up the same thing that we just saw happen. So we'll see if that is a factor here. I know the racing's been hard, but it's been very clean. So these drivers have done a good job of keeping no yellow flag threat out here. And it's going to be one of those situations where you're going to need one. If you're Kyle McCoy, you're Andrew Hess, Dylan Grimm, Scott Ricker, Kyle Bowling, you're all feeling like, man, we had such good runs going, and we might even all end up outside the top 5 by this is over, because you also had the one in Nate Lynch here coming forward along with Brian Scalise.
Scalise has been aggressive. He's been almost caught up in a couple of messes that could have brought out yellows, but somehow all the drivers kept it straight. The one of Nate Lynch, though, has been very passive. This one has not been trying to make passes at all on everyone else. He has that extra grip, but it just feels like he's not willing to put the pressure on to make the passes. He's just catching them at poor times. And for that of the 48 machine of Brian Scalise, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to do something bold here, as that Scott Ricker just puts it into the outside wall. That 32, a great these last 3 races. It's been an incredible streak, but he is dropping, and he might not get a top 10, which will end his top 5 and top 10 streak here tonight.
That is wild to see here. It's going to be Nate Lynch there in the one machine looking to put him down in the 10th position. Then Scalise, if he makes the pass, will push him down to 11th. So that would knock him outside that top 10. It'd be crazy to go from getting 3 wins in a row to possibly outside that top 10 for Ricker. But we'll see how this shakes out with how the racing's going. We very well might get that coveted yellow flag that a lot of these drivers right here are sitting and wanting and needing. But here comes Nate Lynch to the inside, trying to make the pass on Kyle Bowling.
Trying to make the pass as soon as possible. He doesn't want to lose any more ground because these positions are so critical for Nate Lynch. This is a great run for this driver that sits 10th in points. And if he's lost 4 positions in points after last week's run at Sonoma, he is needing some massive pushes to try to make a late surge. I mean, we're closing in on the halfway of the regular season here, Zach. That playoff marker, there's going to be a few drivers that now can point their way in. This one needs this type of performance to make the playoffs.
That he does, Sam. This is exactly what the one wants to see, just gaining his positions left and right. He'll have McCoy and also Hess directly ahead of him here as he's gotten past Grimm. But it's going to be probably impossible to get the next 4 after that, because they have driven into their own zip code. And Valle with an 0.8 of a second gap back to Medlin. So Medlin's been up to 2nd now, and you can even see Scalise on the new tires. It's just new tires have just started to win out now. They might have not fired off as well as we thought, but the new tires are working. It's just 3 wide there. That's some close action.
They were really squeezing on top of one another there in the center of 3 and 4. Somehow they keep together. Also, Thomas Ogle thinking about putting that 31's nose in the mix of things. They're not going to do so just yet. Christopher Wade also in the mix, as all these drivers, old tires, and they're on about that of 40-lap old tires. It is not comfortable with how close they are. But the drivers up front, they're trying to find a way to catch up to Diego Valle as the battle for second place starts to heat up. And Zach, as we're coming up to 10 laps to go, the lap before this, Kevin O'Keefe and Andrew Medlin were faster than Diego Valle. That last lap, it was Diego faster than them. It's when they're single-filed up front that they are catching the 77. Right now, they're hurting their chances to try to win here tonight.
That they are side by side for that 2nd position, just like it's side by side back here for the 10th position for Grimm and Bowling. But Medlin really trying to hold on to 2nd, while Kevin O'Keefe, he's been quick. We thought maybe his shot dropped away when he didn't get the pass done. He's now trying to take 2nd. And if he can just clear the 18 up ahead of this group here, then he will really have a shot to go up to Valle, but it might be slipping away here with only 9 laps to go for that 23 of Kevin O'Keefe.
As that of the 28 you see on screen, he is being caught by that of Brian Scalise. But certainly our drivers up front, as this is the battle for 2nd now on screen. Kevin O'Keefe, Andrew Medlin. It is all on the line of if Kevin O'Keefe, we talked about him losing that ground, but it's not always the worst thing in the world if you're held up by slower drivers, because that just means you're saving your tires just a little bit more than those that might have been pushing their way forward in the early going. But at this point, it's starting to equal out on where the drivers are at, but they finally single file out. This is going to be the true chance. Can these 3 drivers work together to catch up to Diego Valle?
This next lap by, we will be able to see what type of time is generated from this group. Can they do it, Sam? I don't know if there's time, because of a 1.3-second gap, you're going to have to gain a ton of time each and every lap. And now even Ross Tatum, he fell back to 4th there. He's fighting back to the inside of Andrew Medlin here, trying to get into the top 3. So what a crazy race we've seen so far. It's also Nate Lynch up to the top 5 in the 1. It's just showing those 31 lap old tires compared to the 45 lap old tires have just been the way to go.
It's been incredible to watch how these drivers have had to stay patient. You think about Ross Tatum, Kevin O'Keefe, their journey here tonight, probably one of the most awkward they could be, but a driver that has had what it feels like the same story almost race after race, except for last week at Sonoma. Bad qualifying time, but finds a way to be up front. Here is that driver, bad qualifying time, started back in 26th position, and with 6 laps to go, Diego Valle in the 77, this rookie trying to get himself into victory lane.
Seems like we always talk about the rookie class at Stars and Stripes, and we got 2 of those rookies up in the top 2 positions, folks. So it's been a great addition to them once again here at Stars and Stripes. And Valle, that last time by, the quickest car by almost a full 10th there compared to Kevin O'Keefe. We'll get to see if Kevin O'Keefe can gain this lap, as I think he's been able to gain a tiny bit, but it's just been Valle who's been solid out front, a 35.042 to Kevin O'Keefe's 35.057. So again, the 77, the quicker of the top 2.
They're just running practically equal times. You're not gaining anything. You're not losing anything. And if anything, Diego gets those slight advantages when you start to see the battling get a little bit too close. 5 laps to go. And, you know, talking more outside of the top 5, we got 3 rookies in our top 10. With that, Brian Scalise in 7th, who's on those fresh tires. He was able to make his way up to that of 6th. He can move up to potentially that, up to 7th. He can move up to 6th. Based on the speed that he's putting down, trying to catch up to that of Andrew Hess. But, man, Zach, Diego Valle, he was starting to kind of be the hero. If you think back to Texas and the way that he was charging his way through the field and kind of a lot of rooting going on for the 77. Here tonight, it just seemed like he was going to get up front at some point. The question was when.
That it has been, Sam. He's, had terrible qualifying positions each and every oval race we've had. But from 26th to 1st, that is going to be a storyline to behold, because, technically, he started last on the field. We had 27 cars, but Brian Lynch didn't start. So starting the shotgun on the field and getting your way to the lead to win a race, that is going to be a storybook way to get your first win, and just continuing his phase of, really a star growing here at the Stars and Stripes League. So it's really, really cool to see, as he's going to be coming out of 4 this time and looking up to the flag stand. It's going to be 2 mere laps to go, only 3 miles left here at Homestead.
2 to go. He finished in 2nd back at Michigan, and certainly was a race to remember with the chaos and all the flair and the drama coming out of turn 2 with all the wrecks, and then coming to the line, just coming up shy by that a 600th of a second was that of the 77 at Michigan. Here tonight, over that of 1.8 seconds over the rest of the field, entering turn 3 and that exit of turn 4. He just wants to see that one flag up in the air, and it's our freaky fast white flag for Diego Valle as he's closing in on a little bit of lap traffic, but the gap, it continues to grow here, Zach, as it's now up to almost 2 seconds.
That it has, Sam. It is no pressure, no need to worry about the lap car. He just needs to make a nice clean lap here, get back to the start-finish line, and he'll get that first victory. But it's the battle for second that's heating up. Medlin finally getting to the outside of the 23 in the background, and he's going to be going for second place while Kevin O'Keefe trying to hold it off.
They're trying to battle for second, but up front, it's the rookie who is going to find himself into victory lane. He finally cracks through here at the Southern Beach 200, and for second place across the line, it goes to Kevin O'Keefe by that of just about under 600ths of a second.
Oh, man, close action between our second place finishers. Medlin's going to bring him 3rd, Ross Tatum 4th, and Nate Lynch bringing it home 5th. With Andrew Hess ended up the the driver farthest up on the oldest set of tires, you got to feel for Andrew Hess a little bit. That's a once again here now to that Homestead tonight and at Michigan where he feels like maybe one got away, but it's a special victory here from the 77 machine as he broke the Scott Rickard 3-race win in a row streak. This is now his time to see if he can go out there and put on a streak as he's going to have the 48 Scalise come up here to celebrate with him.
Yeah, sometimes you look for that luck to come around, and that is certainly when it comes to the fact that you're always looking for an opportunity of either tires, fuel, or just raw speed. 77 had all three coming to the end of this race as he picked the right time for the tires and the fuel and placed himself in the position in that second half of the race to get himself to this position to burn it down here at Homestead. Congratulations to the 77 Diego Valle as we're going to step aside when we come back and we will talk to our top two and our spotlight driver for our post-race show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Stars and Stripes Throwback Series. For that, of season 6. You got to see race number 5 here at that of Homestead-Miami. For that of the South Beach 200. And we get to talk to some drivers. My name's Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall, More Running Productions in the background. And we got ourselves a first-time winner of this series. What a story. We talked about how he's been looking fast in the last couple of ovals we've been to, and he finally gets it done. Diego Valle, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations, you're in victory lane here tonight. How are you feeling?
I am ecstatic, dude. I made the right strategy call at the end there. I had the pace all throughout. I mean, qualifying. At this point, I don't know about my issues with qualifying, but who cares? Because I got the freaking win. I ran away with it at the end there. Kevin gave me a heck of a fight towards the end there, but the traffic went my way, and I'm really happy with the result.
That you should be, Diego, man. It was a pleasure to call tonight because what a strategy call there. Because, yeah, I mean, were you surprised to see so many drivers stay out and take the risk of seeing another caution with how much green flag racing we actually had tonight?
I was a little bit surprised, but I could understand the call because during that little phase of the race, there were a couple of cautions back to back. You could understand why some people were thinking that it wasn't going to go green all the way, that there was going to be another chance to pit. But I was really counting down the laps at the end there. Like in my head, I was just repeating 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3 down all the way to 1, and I was just hoping to whatever green flag god there is out there that there wouldn't be a caution, and there wasn't. So the odds went my way this time.
That they certainly did, and it was crazy to see how kind of opened up. They weren't able to catch you, but man, Diego, you finally get that monkey off your back, being one of the first rookies to get to victory lane this season. We got a couple of more difficult tracks coming up, heading to Dover, Rockingham, and Atlanta. How are you feeling about these next 3 races coming up?
I think I can win anywhere here from here on out.
I love to hear
That's
that
it.
confidence.
I think I have the pace to win anywhere.
Well, that is got to be terrifying to hear for the rest of the league, to hear that confidence coming from you, Diego. But man, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Shout out to my dad, to my mom, to my brother and sister. Thank you all very much. Thank you. A shout out to my friend Jack who tuned in, watched the race. Guys from Sim Racing Lads, Chris, thank you very much. Shout out to Justin Yee and the Arca Farm. My Arca Farmer shirt has not failed me yet. 3 for 3 undefeated in these races. I will be back here later on the season. Thank you guys so much.
That is going to be the 77 machine. Diego Valle, congratulations on this win, and good luck next week on trying to get another one.
Thank you.
As we go from second, when we go from first place, we had to second place to that of Kevin O'Keefe, who was trying his best to march his way through this field, but just was not able to get through the traffic as fast as we saw that 77. We got ourselves here, though, second place finisher, Kevin O'Keefe with us. Kevin, you looked fast at times, but just was not enough there at the end. But man, how are you feeling after a second place performance?
Well, I'm happy because I did terrible in the practice race on Monday, and I didn't have a good practice session before the race, and so to get out of here with a second is good. But it's also kind of bittersweet because I was the first car on fresh tires, and that was kind of mine to lose. But that's you got to get lucky sometimes.
That you do, Kevin, man. I tell you, it was an interesting race here. And take us through your pit strategy. We seen you come to pit road much earlier than anybody. Were you looking to do a 2-stop to the end there, or were you feeling like we'd see some cautions maybe just to get the undercut?
Well, I screwed up and thought the pit window was open. So I pitted because my tires were falling off. You know, after Daytona, I bragged to you guys on the broadcast that I was good at saving my tires. Well, apparently I'm not because after that run there where I pitted early, my tires were at 64 percent on the right front. So I was dropping like a rock, and I thought the pit window was open. And I was just like, well, let's pit now and get the jump. And then I was like 10 laps short, and I was like, oh no. So it kind of turned into a 2-stopper, and then it kind of turned into let's pray for a caution, and the caution fell at the perfect time.
That it certainly did, and we still had about that 35 laps still to go when you decided to come into pit road and take that last set of tires. How nervous were you going into those final 30 laps that we could see a late caution that could have changed up this race?
Well, I've learned to accept in my old age, I'm 40, I've learned to accept things well, I've learned to accept the things that I have no control over. So if the cautions weren't going to come out, the cautions weren't going to come out. What I was worried, I guess I was worried that the 77 and the other cars I was racing that finished third and fourth, that they were going to cause a caution because they were driving pretty aggressively. And it was like, well, if you guys cause a caution, then your race is over. Uh, you know, because if the caution comes out, everybody pits for tires. Everyone who pitted with 39 to go is their race is over. So I guess that's what I was worried about. But I wasn't too worried about the caution coming out in general because I have no control over that. It is well what it is, and I made my bed when I pitted early the first time.
Well, it sounds like a second place finish isn't too bad to grab. Kevin, congratulations on that second place finish. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Well, thank you to Track Autosport, my team. We didn't have the team finish we were looking for. We're second in the points. So getting second for me is a good boost. And thanks to the guys that invited me to join this league. I've had a lot of fun. And YouTube, the warm up lap, and Rutgers Kev on Twitch.
That is going to be that of the 23 of Kevin O'Keefe coming away with second place finish here tonight. Congratulations on that, and good luck next week as we head to Dover.
Thank you.
As we go from second place, we're actually going to drop down to that of sixth, where we're going to talk to our spotlight driver, who was a driver that tried to make strategy work, but was on the opposite side of the coin. We got Andrew Hess with us. Andrew, you're going to come away as the leader of the drivers that decided not to pit, but man, how are you feeling coming away with a sixth place finish?
Disappointed. I mean, it feels good to, I guess, win that part of the strategy, but it sucks that I was telling some of the other guys, it's kind of funny. I finally get to the lead, and then the caution seems to come out in this league. So,
Yeah, Andrew, it's got to be bittersweet, man. I know how that can feel. And, take us through this, though. You've definitely, I feel like, been one of the best drivers this season at saving your tires and really making it work on the longer runs. Has that kind of been the strategy coming into each of these races?
a little bit. I think it just kind of the way this car drives really kind of suits my driving style a little better than the Cup car did. And I think some of these tracks where you can slip and slide and there's a little more tire wear seem to uh, play into my hand a little better.
Well, speaking of different styles, we're going up to that of Dover, Rockingham, and Atlanta as our next three races coming up. What is your confidence level looking to heading to those tracks?
I think it's pretty high. I got experience in this car and at all those tracks. So Dover, I think I run okay in. Kind of just depends on how the strategy works out there. Rockingham, I feel like me and this car kind of clicked there, and same with Atlanta. And I think just my past record, I'm probably better at the mile and halves anyway. So maybe Atlanta's circled, but I look forward to all of them right now.
Well, I'm excited to see how you're going to run as well as you're coming away with a sixth place finish here tonight. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
I'll definitely thank you guys for the stellar broadcast as always. Thanks for having me in the booth, even though I didn't place top three. I appreciate it. Try to put on a good show for you guys. And last, I want to apologize to Kevin. I kind of ran him up the racetrack there in 3 and 4 when he jumped to my high side. I was kind of sliding, and I wanted to give him more room than that. So end that with apology.
That is going to be the five machine of Andrew Hess, going to be the driver that beat out the rest of the drivers that decided not to come into pit road, but a sixth place finish is where he lies. Congratulations on finishing this race, and good luck at Dover next week.
Thanks, guys.
As we head from our spotlight driver, let's take a look at where the drivers finished out here tonight as we get to take a look at our unofficial results. Again, we got ourselves out of Dover, Rockingham, Atlanta, Las Vegas, and then Nashville Fairgrounds. The next couple of races coming up. Should be some great ones to watch. As for top 10 for this evening, unofficially, going to be the 77 Diego Valle, the rookie, getting himself into victory lane. Kevin O'Keefe going to come away with second. Andrew Medlin and Ross Tatum going to be that of third and fourth, with that of Nate Lynch cracking the top 5 for the one machine. Andrew Hess going to be in sixth. I know that wasn't where he wanted to find himself. Right, that of Ryan Scalise going to come away with 7th. Kyle McCoy, we thought was going to be the driver to win here tonight, comes away with 8th. Scott Ricker's streak comes to an end for that of winning all 3 races in a row, as well as his top 5 finishes in a row. But he'll continue on with his top 10s, being in the top 10 for every single race so far this season for the 32. And then Christopher Wade comes away in 10th.
Yeah, and as you look through the rest of that order there, Kyle Bolin 11th, Jason Gratton 12th, Ogle 13th, Dylan Grimm 14th. Just drivers on that older set of tires that, were up near the top 5, top 10 area all night long. Just the strategy not going their way when it comes down to the end of the race. And sometimes that's just how it plays out. And racing cautions don't fall your way. And if that caution doesn't fall the right way, you decide to make a certain strategy call, that strategy call can come back to bite you and put you out of those good finishing positions that you were running earlier in the race. So it just goes to show, just because you're running good and in the top 5, top 10 early in these events, you got to stick with it. You got to stay on top of the strategy and do what the 77 did, because he just called it right, and that's what's going to bring him the victory here tonight at Homestead.
It was a gutsy call with 30 laps still to go, but it turned to be the right one for Diego Valle in that 77. Congratulations on the win for the rookie. Again, next week's race going to be at Dover. But for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we're going to be taking ourselves a little bit of break here. We come back not on Monday. That's our usual slot for the ISRC Truck Series. They're going to be on an off week. We come back on Tuesday to be giving you the coverage of the Full Send Racing Series, as well Wednesday night, the Wicked Racing Series. And then Thursday, we're right back here for more coverage of seeing these drivers tackling in that of the ARCA cars for the Stars and Stripes throwback season. It's been a pleasure to watch. And Zach, any of your final thoughts before we get ourselves out of here?
Well, man, it's been a great week of racing, and tonight was just another edition of that. So happy to get the week done, but also they can't forget either, because coming up next Saturday, we're going to have the our charity race at Daytona, 500 miles there, 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you tune into that if you're not racing in the event, and come out and help support us try to hit that $1,000 goal of raising money for the JDRF Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. So it's going to be a great time. We got a great week coming up for us, and I cannot wait to see how it all unfolds. So let's make sure to come back and tune in to Freaky Fast like you always do.
Can't wait for it. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer, and everyone else that helps at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining us for your Thursday night coverage of the Stars and Stripes series. We can't wait for our next one. It's going to be that of Tuesday for the Full Send Racing series. But for your weekend, have a good one. We'll see you on our next broadcast.